And we are now joined by former ESPN producer of Mike and Mike in the Morning and the author of Live to Forgive and the host of the Sports Spectrum podcast, our good friend Jason Romano from the Capital Region joins us here in studio this morning. He'll be on with Levac and Gaz, and you have a little visit with the Times Union. And good to see you this morning.
Good to see you, Roger. Chris, what's going on?
Too much, man.
Good to be
here.
Had
this NFL draft thing going on tomorrow that everyone...
Yeah.
Everyone, we've been, you know how this goes. I mean, the build up to this stuff is enormous.
The hype is way bigger than the actual payoff.
It really
just
is.
And you get past the first round, you're just like, all right, let me know.
All right, I'm done. Yeah, once you get by round one, I could care less.
Exactly.
I honestly don't care. But because the Giants are picking 2, and the Jets are picking 3, and the Bills are picking 12, the Capital Region interest with those regional teams of interest is at an all-time high. Anthony Becht also joins us, ESPN college football analyst. And Jason, you worked with Anthony, so this is a nice fit here.
I did. Anthony, what's going on, man? Good to talk to you.
Gentlemen, I'll tell you, going back in time when I was a baby in this industry trying to figure it all out, Jason was a great mentor, man, at the NFL Films and then over at ESPN, man. I hope you're great, man. Looks like you're doing awesome.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you.
12-year NFL tight end, Jets, Bucks, Rams, Cardinals, Chiefs, and Anthony, let me get right to the Jets pick at 3, because we dealt with the Giants here a little bit ago. But this Jets pick at 3, we are hearing Baker Mayfield is going to be their choice if he's on the board, if he's not taken first by Cleveland. We heard that as well. What's your take on what the Jets will do tomorrow night with number 3?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know if I trust any information that's out there. I think any general manager that gives information out probably ends up getting fired. So I'd say none of them have spoken to anybody and given them what they're going to do. Listen, I think Mike McAgney's been pretty thorough in his approach to this. I've spoken to him and bumped into him several times throughout this process. And, Baker Mayfield's in the mix. I don't know if that's the guy I'd lean on, depending on how all this falls out as far as, will a running back go first, or will Cleveland take Sam Darnold, or what quarterback they'll go. I think that the Jets maybe will be 2 of their highly favored options. I mean, if Sam Darnold happens to, fall into that spot because of Chubb or Barkley going higher and then teams surprise everybody, I'd say he's the best quarterback out there. I peg them, though, for taking Josh Allen. The biggest thing I think with quarterbacks that go on teams that aren't doing well over the last, decade or so is that you better have some movement skills. And, Josh Rosen might be the most technically sound, but he's a pocket guy. He's not going to move around much, and I worry about that at the next level. And Josh Allen obviously has some tangible things you really love about him. There's some question marks. A lot of people talk about his completion percentage. I think a lot of those things can be fixed in coaching. The terminologies and the system that he came from will be very favorable, especially with Bates. Bates is a West Coast guy. This kid played in a West Coast offense, the same offense that Carson Wentz played in at North Dakota State because Craig Bohl, their head coach, came from there. So he'll have a lot of familiarities with some of those things to help him move and grow forward in the NFL.
Jason, are you okay at the Giants? I know where you stand on a running back going too, but Saquon Barkley, obviously a very special player. Are you okay with the Giants passing on a quarterback at 2 and landing on a running back instead of a QB?
Or Anthony,
rather. Anthony, you there? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Jason, Anthony. Who the heck am I talking to here?
I'd say this. For me, if I'm the Giants, I look at Gettleman. He's 65 years old. Is he trying to leave his legacy when he's gone, or is he trying to leave a legacy when he's there? And that's when you start throwing in other guys outside of the quarterback position. I think Chubb and Barkley are going to be the 2 highly debated players in their room and how they want to go about the whole quarterback situation. If you feel like, Eli, or you're going to lean on him for maybe 1 year and let this be a competition after that, or you've got some kind of internal conversation with Eli to figure out what it's going to be moving forward, listen, I think Eli's still got enough in the tank, and he brings enough savvy that if you could put a couple more pieces around him, this team can basically get themselves back into a playoff mode. And the offensive line has to be something that has to be increased. I think they did that in the offseason. Solders is a great pickup. I really like him at the position. They're locked in on the left side, Amami and then they have the center in place. So, maybe one more piece at the offensive line that you can get high in the second round, and all of a sudden now, Barkley makes a lot of sense for you because, listen, this is a win-now business. We always talk about the future and moving forward, but, if Gettleman's, what's his plan moving forward? I think he's trying to win now. So that's the conversations I think that they'll have when you talk about that number 2 pick.
ESPN analyst Anthony Becht with us here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, of course, former Jets tight end as well. And check him out on Twitter at Anthony_Becht. Anthony, Chris Honorato in studio with Roger and Jason as well. And I'm going to do something they would have taught you day one at broadcast boot camp not to do, and that's ask a 2-part question. But I wonder, out of all the quarterbacks you played with, did you ever play with a guy with the attitude of Baker Mayfield? And then secondly, did you ever play with a quarterback who was the height of Baker Mayfield? And how did one or the other stand out in your memory?
Well, I think that a lot's been scrutinized about Baker Mayfield and his emotions and his behaviors. I'll be quite honest with you. When I evaluated him in this process, that really wasn't a concern for me. I think he learned his lesson in the offseason last February when, he was tackled and ran from the police. And, on the field, listen, do I approve of those things? No, but I do know emotions get caught up. The kid's highly competitive, and he'll have to understand he has to control those things, and that'll be set in stone. Listen, I played with Jeff Garcia in Tampa Bay. Very high energy, very intense player on the field. Not knowing him prior to that and just listening to rumors about him in general in San Francisco, I would have never picked him to be the kind of guy that I thought. A tremendous leader in the huddle, just a guy you want to go to war with. And those are some of the qualities that Baker Mayfield brings to the table. But I will say this. We're talking about a handful of guys in the NFL, and at his size, and what he's able to do, can do it at a very high level. Russell Wilson is a guy, and Drew Brees at his height, and what he can do. And those guys are very good, not just moving around the pocket, the way they pass, the experience they bring to the table. The biggest question for me with Baker Mayfield, and a lot of people have been mad at me because he's got a huge following. Everybody loves this kid, is his system at Oklahoma was very simplistic. He was not asked to read and look through many route combinations by receivers and then read coverages through the route combinations. It was basically 1 to 2 to 3 in the sense that is it off coverage, on coverage, and get it into a zone or check it down. And then he extended a lot of plays with his legs. The NFL is all about standing in the pocket and delivering passes on time because of the concepts of the routes that the tight ends and the receivers and the backs are running in concert with each other. And he's got to be able to diagnose defenses and see multiple pressures. And it'll be a lot different in the next level. Now, it's going to be different for all the quarterbacks, there's no question. But each one of those other quarterbacks have come from systems where they've had some terminologies and some things that they will see in the NFL, and along with some spread. But Baker Mayfield, I would say, would have the least amount of that knowledge coming in from the system and that air raid system that he's ran at Oklahoma.
Anthony, this is Jason. With the Giants at 2, what would be the most surprising move by the Giants? Because there's talk, obviously, that they're probably going to take Barkley, but you also have the quarterback situation. You don't know how long Eli has. And then they have Jason Pierre-Paul gone, so they could take D-end and go with Chubb. What would be the most surprising move to you for the Giants at 2?
The most surprising, I think, from a public standpoint, at least from outside looking in, will probably be the guard and Quentin Nelson. He's a guy, to me, that's probably a lock, along with Chubb, as being the 2 best players that can come out, and you kind of know what you're getting. He wouldn't be a sexy pick, but you're talking about protecting the quarterback, and then you can go get yourself a top-tier running back in the top of the second round. Saquon Barkley obviously has a separation to himself with these other backs, but I will say that with the depth of the running back position, it's hard to justify and say, even though he's so special, that you can't get a player with some similar features that can play. If you were to pick one guy that you said, okay, he's got a distance between every other position, even his own position in this draft, you'd say Bradley Chubb. He's the one definitive guy from overall that you would say could really bring something to the table that's special. And then the guard from Notre Dame, like I spoke about, would be a surprise pick for the Giants, because that would tell me that, okay, this is the plan. They're trying to win this thing now. They feel like they got some pieces and moves in play that they feel good about, and that Eli Manning may have, 2.5 years where they feel like they can get some quality football play out of him. So I'd say the guard from Notre Dame for sure.
How about this scenario? Because when you talk about quarterbacks, the one thing that I have heard is that Josh Allen from Wyoming is the guy that probably is the guy that's going to take some time. Like, you need him to get into the system, and he's not going to be a ready right now guy. Might be a couple years down the road. Would that be a possibility for the G-men to go, you know what? We think Eli's got a couple of more years in him, and when we draft a guy like Josh Allen, he's not going to play right away. He's going to sit for a couple of years, and then we usher Josh Allen in because we're not all that hyped on Davis Webb. How about that scenario, Anthony?
Yeah. I would say I would disagree a little bit about what people say about him being as raw as he is. Again, he's coming from a system that will be very similar to some of the things and recognitions he'll see at the next level from an offensive standpoint. If I had to peg one quarterback that makes sense for the Giants, along with some of the moves they've made at the offensive line position in the offseason, a pocket passer is kind of what you want. A great running game, a good defense, and a guy that can deliver passes within that 4-by-4 yard range inside the pocket. Josh Rosen makes the most sense to me. He's the most technically sound. He's the guy that if you can get all the pressure cleaned up in front of him, he's going to give you the best chance to win. But like I said, those higher-end teams, I would say the Giants would love to have a guy like Sam Darnold. Now you're talking about the movement part of it, where he gives you a little more of the Aaron Rodgers kind of feel within the system that he is. So it's going to be great. It's all going to come down to the first guy. If it's Sam Darnold, I got to think, to me, we'll find out real quick if the Giants are trying to win within a year, 2 years, or they're trying to build for the future when they step up to the podium at 2.
No doubt. Anthony Becht, the ESPN college football analyst. We appreciate a few minutes here on Big Board Sports.
Great stuff, Anthony. Thanks, man.
Anytime, guys. Enjoy the draft. Thank you.